Step back in time with me to a world of marble, myth, and a surprisingly modern view on human desire. We're journeying to ancient Rome, a civilization that left an indelible mark on history, not just through its legions and laws, but through its intimate and often public relationship with sexuality. Forget what you think you know. The Roman world was far more complex, contradictory, and fascinating than the sanitized versions we often see in movies. Let's start our exploration in the bustling heart of a Roman city. Glimpse into everyday life. And a lot of that graffiti is about love, desire, and sex. You'd see declarations of love for a certain woman, boasts of romantic conquests, and even crude advertisements for local brothels. One famous inscription proudly states, "I screwed the landlady." Another, more poetic, reads, "Lovers, like bees, led a honeyed life." Roman sexuality was structured around power, status, and gender. For a Roman man, especially one from the elite classes, virtue was tied to self-control and dominance. The key concept was virtus, manliness. This included enslaved people, prostitutes, and entertainers. The crucial factor was that he had to be the active, dominant partner. To be the passive partner was seen as effeminate and shameful, a surrender of his masculine authority. So, while we might see depictions of same-sex acts in Roman art, it's a mistake to apply our modern concept of homosexuality or heterosexuality. The Romans didn't think in those terms. Their moral compass was oriented around social status and the active versus passive role, not the gender of one's partner. An emperor like Hadrian could have a male lover, Antinous, and it was his deep public grief over Antinous' death, not the relationship itself, that raised eyebrows. The devotion was seen as excessive, a loss of Roman stoicism. Now let's talk about Roman women. For a woman of the upper class, the rules were entirely different. Her sexuality was strictly tied to marriage and procreation. The ideal Roman matron was a univira, a woman who had only one husband in her lifetime. Her chastity was paramount because it ensured the legitimacy of her husband's heirs and the purity of the family bloodline. Adultery for a married woman was a serious crime, a threat to the social order. The first Roman emperor, Augustus, even passed strict laws, the Julian laws, which made adultery a public offense punishable by exile. But step outside the homes of the elite, and the picture changes again. They were legally considered property, and their owners had complete sexual access to them. Prostitution was legal, regulated, and a visible part of Roman society. This brings us to one of the most infamous aspects of Roman life: the brothel, or lupanar. The most famous example, preserved by the volcanic ash of Vesuvius, is the lupanar of Pompeii. It's a small two-story building with cramped windowless rooms, each containing a simple stone bed. The walls are covered in explicit frescoes, serving as a sort of menu, depicting various sexual acts. Inscriptions left by both clients and prostitutes tell stories of transactions, praise, and complaints. It was a business, plain and simple, taxed by the state. Prostitutes, or meretresses, were required to register with the local magistrates. Art provides another incredible window into the Roman psyche. Walk through a wealthy Roman's villa, and you'd find art that we might consider erotic displayed openly. Phallic symbols, for instance, were everywhere. They weren't just obscene jokes. They were talismans, symbols of fertility and good fortune, meant to ward off the evil eye. Scenes of Jupiter seducing mortals in various forms, or Venus, the goddess of love, in all her glory, were common. The gods themselves had tempestuous love lives, and celebrating that was celebrating the fundamental forces of nature. Even marriage, while a serious social contract, had its sensual side. Friends and family would escort the couple to their new home in a boisterous procession, singing bawdy songs meant to encourage fertility. While the primary purpose of marriage was to produce children, the Romans certainly weren't blind to the role of attraction and pleasure within that bond. The love poetry of figures like Catullus, filled with passionate and sometimes heartbreaking verses to his lover Lesbia, shows that deep romantic and physical love was a powerful force. However, it's crucial to remember the inherent contradictions. This was a society that celebrated the phallus as a good luck charm, but could be deeply puritanical about the behavior of its elite women. The Roman view of sexuality was a tapestry woven from threads of pragmatism, power, religion, and social control. By studying their art, their graffiti, their laws, and their ruins, we can piece together a more nuanced picture of the past. We see a society grappling with the same fundamental human drives that we experience today, but interpreting them through a completely different cultural lens. It challenges our own assumptions about what is normal or natural. The voices from ancient Rome, speaking to us from across 2 millennia, remind us that the human story, in all its intimate detail, is endlessly complex and profoundly fascinating. Exploring their world doesn't just teach us about them, it teaches us about ourselves. Thank you for joining me on this journey into the private lives of the Romans. If you found this exploration as captivating as I do, please like this video and subscribe for more deep dives into history. Let me know in the comments what aspect of Roman life you'd like to explore next. See you in the next one.